I built the exact same AI assistant twice. Same job, two completely different brains. The job, every morning, take my messy reading pile, newsletters, saved articles, meeting notes, and turn it into a short audio briefing that reads itself to me while I make coffee. Route 1. A giant frontier model in the cloud. Hundreds of billions of parameters, accessed through an API, rented by the request. Route 2. Tiny models running on my own laptop. No GPU, no account, no internet required, including a text-to-speech model so small it fits in less space than a phone photo. Everyone tells you bigger is better. Everyone also tells you local is the future. They can't both be right for the same job, so I stopped reading opinions and built it both ways. Today they fight, round by round. Setup, learning curve, the capability ceiling, maintenance, failure modes, and the final verdict, which brain deserves your workflow. I'll show you where the giant embarrassed the tiny models, where the tiny models quietly humiliated the giant, and the one round I genuinely didn't see coming. Grab your coffee. Round 1 starts now. Round 1. Setup. The cloud build barely counts as a build. I created an account, copied an API key, and wrote a handful of glue lines. Send my reading pile to the model, get a summary back, hand it to a voice, save the audio file. That's it. The hard parts, the actual intelligence, the servers, the scaling live in someone else's data center, and I just borrow them per request. Here's the mini story that sold me. The first afternoon, I sent it a genuinely messy pile, half-finished notes, a rambling newsletter, a transcript full of typos, and the summary came back clean, organized, and honestly better structured than my own thinking. Zero configuration. The model had clearly seen worse messes than mine. If you've never touched an AI API, here's your action for this week. Get one API key from any major provider and make one single request from a script. Just summarize this paragraph. That tiny loop, send text, receive intelligence, is the foundation of every automation I run, and it takes one evening to learn. Round 1 goes to the cloud, and it isn't close. But here's the part nobody tells you. Setup is the cloud's best round. Remember that. Same round, the local build, and this is where I expected pain. I expected driver errors, GPU requirements, giant downloads. Here's what actually happened. The voice side was a model called Kitten TTS, and according to the official Kitten ML GitHub repository, in 2025, it's an open-source text-to-speech model with just 15 million parameters and a file size under 25 megabytes, running on CPU with no GPU required. 25 megabytes. My last phone update was bigger than that. I installed it with one command on an aging laptop, the one I almost donated, and it spoke its first sentence within minutes. The small language model for summarizing took longer. I had to pick one, download it, and learn a runner tool to serve it locally. Call it an evening of fiddling versus an afternoon for the cloud. But here's the part nobody tells you. When that old laptop said my test sentence out loud, with nothing connected to anything, it felt different. Not better, different. Like owning a bicycle after years of taxis. Your action this week: install one tiny local model. Text-to-speech is the easiest start, and make your computer say your name. It's a gateway drug. Round 1 still goes to the cloud. Barely. Round 2. Learning curve. With the cloud build, there's really one skill to learn: talking to the model. Prompting. And the reason one well-written paragraph of instructions can replace hours of programming is scale. Take DeepSeek v3.1 as the reference point, because the numbers are public. According to DeepSeek's official Hugging Face model card from August 2025, it's a 671 billion parameter mixture of experts model with 37 billion parameters activated for each token it processes. Let me translate. It's like a company with 671 billion employees where, for every single word, only the 37 billion most relevant specialists show up to work. You don't manage them. You just write the memo. So my learning curve was writing better memos. Summarize by topic, lead with decisions I need to make, keep it short. Each refinement took 1 minute to test. My mini story. Version 1 of my prompt gave me summaries that buried the important stuff at the bottom. I added a single line, order by what's most actionable, and the problem vanished forever. One line. Try this week. Take a prompt you already use and add one sentence describing the order you want information in. It's the highest leverage prompting fix I know, and almost nobody does it. Same round, the local build, and here the curve stops being about words and starts being about plumbing. To summarize locally, I had to learn what a model file actually is, which sizes my laptop can handle, how a runner tool serves the model to my script, and why a model that's too big just silently crawls. None of that is hard. All of it is new. Imagine learning to drive versus learning how the engine works. The cloud teaches you to drive. Local forces you to open the hood. My mini story. My first local summary took forever, and I assumed the model was bad. It wasn't. I had picked one too large for my machine, and it was swapping memory like a student cramming at 3 a.m. I switched to a smaller model. Instant results, perfectly fine quality. That lesson, matched the model to the machine, cost me one frustrated evening and now saves me constantly. And that's the honest trade. The local curve is steeper, but every hour invested compounds because you're learning how this whole field works, not just one company's interface. Your action. Read the model card of any small open model this week. Just read it. You'll understand more than most people talking about AI online. Round 3. The capability ceiling. How much can each brain actually hold and do? The cloud's answer is almost rude. According to that same official DeepSeek model card from August 2025, version 3.1 handles a 128,000 token context window. In plain terms, my entire weekly reading pile, every newsletter, every article, every note fits in one request, and the model sees all of it at once, finds the connection between Article 3 and Note 17, and summarizes across everything. I don't chunk. I don't pre-sort. I dump. And if you want to see where cloud scale is heading, look at Google DeepMind's Genie 3. According to their official blog from August 2025, it generates interactive worlds you can navigate in real time at 24 frames per second in 720p, staying consistent for a few minutes. Entire explorable worlds, generated live. That only exists when someone else owns a building full of hardware. My takeaway for your workflow: when the job is understand a lot of stuff at once, the cloud isn't just better, it's playing a different sport. Try this week. Take your 10 most recently saved articles and ask a frontier model for the 3 themes connecting them. That one request will change how you save articles. Same round, local. And let's be honest, my laptop is not holding a week of reading in its head. The small model I run has a much shorter attention span, so I chunk, split the pile, summarize each piece, then summarize the summaries. It works. It's just labor the cloud never asked of me. But here's where the round gets interesting, because lower ceiling is not the same as not enough. The tiny text-to-speech model reads my briefing perfectly well. It doesn't need to understand the text. It needs to say it clearly every single morning, and it does. My mini story. I tested my own mornings for a week. Imagine, hypothetically, grading each briefing out of 10 while brushing your teeth, which is exactly what I did. The local voice never once made me miss information. The summaries were slightly blunter than the clouds, but the coffee still got made and the decisions still got flagged. That's the local build's real argument. Most daily jobs live far below the ceiling. You don't need a skyscraper to store a bicycle. Your action this week: for one recurring task, write down what good enough actually means. You'll be surprised how low the bar honestly is and how much that changes your tool choice. Round 4. Maintenance. What breaks while you sleep? Here's the cloud's uncomfortable truth. The brain you built on is rented, and the landlord renovates without asking. Providers update models, retire old versions, and change behavior. Usually it's an upgrade. Sometimes your carefully tuned prompt starts giving different answers on a random Tuesday, and nothing in your code changed. My mini story. One of my flows quietly changed its output style after a model update. Same prompt, different formatting, and my script, which expected the old format, started saving broken files. It took me 2 days to even notice. The fix was easy. The lesson was permanent. When you build on an API, pin the exact model version if the provider allows it, and write your automation to survive surprises. Check that the output looks sane before trusting it. And about costs, I'm deliberately quoting nothing because API pricing changes constantly, and any number I say today becomes misinformation tomorrow. The only real source is the provider's official pricing page, checked by you this week. That is your action. Open the pricing page of whatever API you use, read the current model list, and note which model your automation actually calls. Most people genuinely don't know. Don't be most people. Same round, local. And this is the round where the tiny models quietly humiliated the giant. That model file on my laptop? It does not change. Ever. Nobody updates it at midnight, nobody deprecates it, nobody renovates my kitchen while I sleep. The version I downloaded is the version that runs identically until I decide otherwise. And it works with the internet off. My mini story. I spent a long weekend somewhere with Wi-Fi that could barely load a text message. My cloud flows were bricks. The local briefing ran every single morning like nothing happened, reading summaries of the articles I'd saved before the trip. That weekend permanently changed how I split my stack. The honest cost, I am the maintenance department. When a Python update broke a dependency, there was no support ticket to file, just me, an error message, and a search engine. But notice the difference. Local breaks when I touch it. Cloud can break when I don't. One of those is under my control. Your action this week. Pick one automation you depend on and ask, if the internet vanished for 3 days, does this survive? If that answer matters to you, you now know exactly which parts belong on your own machine. Round 5. Failure modes. Not if things break, but how. The cloud fails in ways that have nothing to do with you. The provider has an outage. Your assistant is dead. Your internet hiccups. Dead. You hit a usage limit, and I won't quote specific limits, because they change and the official docs are the only real source. Your assistant is dead until it isn't. And here's the worst part. Cloud failures are synchronized. When a big provider stumbles, it's not just your briefing, it's your briefing, your email triage, and your writing assistant, all holding hands as they fall. Imagine, hypothetically, a morning where you run 3 AI-dependent flows through one provider and that provider goes down. That's 0 out of 3 working through no fault of your code. My defensive habit, learned the annoying way. Every cloud automation I run has a fallback branch. If the API call fails, save the raw reading pile so morning me at least has the ingredients and retry automatically later. A few extra lines of code. Infinite saved frustration. Your action this week. Find the one automation you'd miss most and add the dumbest possible fallback. Even just write the error to a file I'll actually see. Silent failure is the real enemy, in the cloud or anywhere else. Same round, local, where every failure has exactly one address, mine. The tiny models don't fail like the cloud. They fail small and weird. The little voice model occasionally pronounces a technical term creatively, and nobody at a company is patching that for me tonight. The small summarizer sometimes misses a nuance a giant model would catch, and there's no smarter model sitting behind it as backup. And my laptop is a single point of failure with crumbs in the keyboard. My mini story. One morning the briefing simply didn't run. No outage page to check, no status dashboard to refresh, just my machine, which had restarted overnight to install updates and never relaunched my script. The fix was learning how my own system schedules tasks, so they survive a reboot. Annoying? Yes. But here's the reframe that made me respect this build. Every local failure taught me something reusable about computers. Every cloud failure taught me to wait. One failure mode builds skills, the other builds patience. Your action this week. Whatever runs on your machine, make it survive a restart, register it as a scheduled task that runs at login, and log every run to a file. 2 small changes, and your local build becomes boring. Boring is the goal. Final round. Verdicts by profile, because this duel is never going to have one winner for everybody. Choose the giant cloud brain when the job is thinking. If your workflow needs deep reasoning, huge context, remember, whole reading pile in one request huge, or output quality where slightly blunter isn't acceptable, the cloud is the honest answer. Same if you're a beginner. That first afternoon setup, one API key and a handful of glue lines is the fastest it's alive moment in this entire hobby, and momentum matters more than architecture when you're starting out. And same if your work changes shape constantly, new formats, new sources, weird one-off requests, because the giant model absorbs weirdness that would make a tiny model give up politely. Picture, hypothetically, a freelancer juggling 5 clients with 5 completely different document styles. Rewriting local plumbing for each one would eat the whole week, while a frontier model just handles it. But the verdict comes with a condition. Build like a renter. Pin model versions where you can, add fallbacks everywhere, and check the official pricing page yourself before scaling anything. Rent the brain, but keep your furniture. your data, your prompts, your logs, in a form you can move out with. Renting is a great deal until you forget you're renting. And choose the tiny local build when the job is running. If your workflow is a stable daily loop, same shape, same sources, forever, a small model that never changes is not a compromise, it's a feature. If you work offline, travel a lot, or live with unreliable internet, it's not even a choice. If your material is personal and your rule is this text doesn't leave my machine, local is the architecture where that's literally how it works. The files stay on hardware you own because nothing gets sent anywhere. And if you want to actually learn this field, the local build is a free education the cloud never offers. Now, my honest secret, and you probably saw it coming, I kept both. The giant cloud model does the thinking, reading the pile, finding the threads, writing the summary. The tiny local model does the talking. Kitten TTS, all 15 million parameters of it, according to the official Kitten ML repository, reads the result to me every morning, offline, on a laptop I almost gave away. Big brain rented, small mouth owned. The duel was never really cloud versus local. It's thinking jobs versus running jobs, and once you sort your own workflow into those two piles, every tool decision you'll ever make gets easier. So, here's the full scorecard. No diplomacy. The Cloud 1 setup, learning curve, and the raw capability ceiling, that 128,000 token context window from DeepSeek's official model card, August 2025, is a different sport, and things like Genie 3's real-time generated world show the gap only grows at the top end. The local build 1 maintenance, and the failure round that actually matters day to day. Nothing changes under you. Nothing needs the internet, and a text-to-speech model under 25 megabytes, according to the official Kitten TDS repository, covers the just run, every morning jobs with room to spare. So don't pick a side, pick per job. Thinking jobs. Rent the giant, build like a renter, and check the official pricing page yourself, because numbers and videos age badly. Running jobs. On the tiny, make it survive a reboot, and enjoy automations that work on a plane. If this round-by-round style helps you choose tools without the hype, subscribe. I do one honest duel like this regularly, and next time I'm putting 2 automation approaches in the ring against each other. And tell me in the comments, what's the one workflow you'd move fully local tomorrow, and what's keeping it in the cloud today? I read everything. See you in the next one.